invocation, which we will be treated to tonight by the lovely and amazing Dwight Lewis.
Yes, yes.
Good evening. Nice turnout today. Wonderful weather finally after all the cold. Lord, just bless this meeting and our community and the council here, and just let wisdom prevail in the name of the Lord Jesus. We just pray and thank you for the wonderful weather. Thank you. Amen.
Amen. Please join me with the pledge. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Is there a motion to approve the agenda?
Support.
All right. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. The agenda is approved. Let's begin with our recognition of our Finance Director, Bobby Schoon, for completing the Michigan Municipal Treasurers Institute from the MMTA in the spring of 2026. Come on up. This is perfect on the heels of all your hard work from last week.
Well, it's easy to see that from last meeting, you guys really saw how incredibly talented she is, how much she has learned, and how well she can put the budget together. But she's just, so you know, when she started, she was not a finance director. And one part of her requirements for taking the job was to complete some training. And she just did 3 years, 100 hours.
Wow.
And we just wanted to say thank you and honor her. I mean, there's nothing you can throw at her that she can't do. So.
Thank you.
All right, moving along. Approval of the minutes. Did anyone notice anything in the minutes? I noticed we were missing something, unless it's been updated. And is my mic on? Am I good?
Yeah, you just gotta be closer to it.
Just gotta be closer. Jeez, okay. Because I gotta eat the thing.
And you might be able to bring it. Oh, yeah. So now,
Closer?
maybe not.
I guess, maybe.
Kind of low.
I'll just speak up. How about that? All right. I noticed that I didn't see the appointment that we approved last week in commissioners' comments. So if we could add that. But that's all. Everything else looked great. And Leslie, you did an awesome job on the minutes of the budget hearing. That I expected to be just like there was a presentation on the budget tonight, and instead you gave a really great synopsis. So anybody looking back at these, you know, a month from now, a year from now, tomorrow, will be able to see a really good synopsis of what we talked about. So thank you. All right. Do we have a motion to approve as amended?
Support.
Okay. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Thanks, everybody. All right. It's a moment so many of us have been waiting for. Our public hearing regarding our budget. Bobby, do you want to come up for this one?
Yep.
And offers any kind of introduction or anything at all?
I don't think I normally do, but it's just a chance for the public to speak.
Yeah, it is. It's a chance for the public to speak and tell us what you think about the budget, questions, comments. We can't answer, you know, really in-depth questions, but please come up and tell us what you think. Bobby worked really hard on it. I hope that you guys have had a chance to take a look at the link I posted on social media. There's a bunch of stuff on the website as well. Bobby produced a really great slide deck, to sort of walk you through what's what. And if you haven't looked at it, I highly suggest you do, because it's very informative and will help you understand where your tax dollars are going. So I'll open the floor to public comment. Yeah, come on up, please. Don't make me beg. Welcome. Please state your name and address for the record. And please, everybody do that when you come up.
My name is LaShonda Jones. I live on East Broadway here in Three Rivers. And I don't think I really looked at the budget report, but my concern is I've been back here for 3 years. My concern is this water and these potholes, because I just had a claim denied for me hitting a pothole downtown. And I'm going to send it to wherever else until it gets resolved, because it broke my ball joint. There's only a couple roads in this town that you can drive around and not look like you're drunk. Like, so that's where I want my tax dollars to go.
Okay.
Like, it's ridiculous, and you shouldn't have to have a newer vehicle to drive to the store.
You probably don't want a newer vehicle.
Yeah,
We're
but
saying afford-
I can't afford a new payment, but that and these business owners need to be responsible for the sinkholes, basically, in the parking lots.
Any parking lots in particular?
Walgreens, over by Walgreens, Big B Coffee, like you can't even, it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. And then the water, you know what I mean? Like if I can't water my plants or cook with it, why are we still paying that high water/sewage amount? So those are my concerns.
Okay, thank you for bringing those up. So we have some good news about the roads. Something that a lot of folks don't understand is that we don't own all the roads. We being the city, a lot of them are owned by the state. Anything with an M on it, M60, Main Street, 131 is not ours either. So those are roads that we kind of have to wait until they're ready to take care of them. There are plans, 2020, Joe, 2029? 2028 and 9, if it stays on schedule. We'll have some major improvements. At the same time, when we do Michigan Avenue, which is part of M60, when that comes up, it's a really good time to replace our water mains underneath it. So anytime there is a big roads project in that respect, that's the right time to do it. We are planning to dive in and go ahead and replace all the water infrastructure underneath. It's not cheap. It's not cheap. We all need it. We all need it, but there is some love coming our way from the state. So if you check my Facebook, it's just like Mayor Angel Johnston. You can see there's a color-coded map, and I'm going to release a better one created by our own John Beebe that shows which roads are ours and which roads are not, so that you can kind of see, you know, which ones to call us about and which ones to call the state about. So, and I think in there too, I'll probably add some information on who else to call for the roads that aren't not ours. So, and I hear you on that, water sister, I do.
Thank you.
You're welcome. There's some pictures of my bathwater on Facebook too. Thank you so much. Anybody else specifically about the budget? Come on, everybody. What's that? I didn't hear you.
Okay.
Oh, okay. I guess not, right? Right. I really thought there was going to be something to say tonight about the budget. I begged and pleaded for people's opinions. So, what I guess I'll say, do you want to come up?
Yes, I got the
Come on
nerve
up.
to speak up finally.
Yes, please do. Please come in. This is just about the budget. Anything else
Yeah.
would be a different time for?
Yeah.
Please state your name and potentially your address for the record.
My name is Mandy Brown, and currently, I'll be honest, I'm homeless here in Three Rivers, so I don't really have an address to give. But that's kind of what I'm up here to talk about. Is there anything planned in the budget? I haven't had a chance to look at it yet, but is there anything planned in the budget to help out with the homeless situation? Maybe expansion of maybe some locally based services to add in conjunction with Keystone, since that's all we got.
Not that I know specifically, but Keystone still has space for you. So I've been in touch with them several times.
Well, we've actually almost got things figured out finally, thanks to Neighborhoods Inc. We're getting an apartment hopefully later this week. We're just waiting to hear things.
Congratulations.
So we got that took care of pretty much.
Okay.
Thank goodness.
Okay.
But there's a lot of people in our community that, you know, some of them are like us that want the help.
Mhm.
And there's others that, you know, let's be honest, have fallen off the straight and narrow. But I just feel like there's got to be some kind of answer, like even if it's like, you know, I heard somebody mention at the resource meeting last month
Yes.
about people working to earn their keep.
We did talk about that, Mandy. I'm sorry I didn't get back to you about it. It turns out, if anybody doesn't know, because I don't think I said who did it, Mandy suggested that we consider a gift card program for people who are homeless to have them like help clean up in town, things like that, and sort of earn gift cards to businesses that, you know, can help provide for their needs, grocery stores and such. And unfortunately, the legalities just don't allow us to do that. Gift cards.
Completely understand.
Yeah, so that was a really great idea though, and we did look into it, and I'm sorry that I didn't personally get back to you and let you know that that wasn't gonna be possible. But I do hope that we can work towards doing something to help people who are down on their luck feel like they're a part of our community, and as you said, earn their keep, because that makes people feel good. I know it makes me feel good.
Yeah, and one more thing. You know, speaking of the water situation, I know it costs a lot to replace the water lines. Is there a way that some of that, there's a budget surplus, is there a way some of that could be utilized as well on top of the current allocations to allow more work to be done? I mean, water's a human right, water's an essential resource, like.
I agree, we have a lot.
I
of
know
work
the
to do
federal
there.
government's dragging their feet, but at that point, I feel like that we have to come together as a community and try to fix it ourselves.
We certainly do.
I feel like the government's not coming to save us in this one.
You're right.
We're not Flint.
There is more to come on the budget, or I'm sorry, on the water in this meeting, so stay tuned for just a little while.
Alrighty, thank you so much.
Thanks for speaking up. All right, anybody else? Nobody? All right, last call. All right, I'm gonna close for public comment on our budget. And at this point, I guess I just ask for a motion to approve and then we get to chat it through.
Support.
All right, okay. Who would like to get started?
Go ahead. After the presentation and going through everything, I really think that it's a good budget. It's really, Bobby has really done a good job explaining a lot of the stuff so that you understand it more. And it's easier to understand and where it's going, and I find no reason that we shouldn't approve it tonight. I mean, some of the things we know are still problems, but we're trying to address them as much as we can with what we can.
Thank you. Yes, Commissioner.
This is my 4th budget, and what I've noticed is the things that we talked about working towards in the first budget that I sat through is starting to come to fruition, and I can see the other stuff being planned in the future, in a 6-year plan. So I think that I know it looks like we have a huge surplus, but that stuff is actually planned for stuff down the line. And that's why it's sitting there. It looks like it, and it's just easier from a budgeting standpoint to put it under general fund. Because if we earmark it for something, and then tornado happens, which happened in March, then we have to pull it out of that, put it in the general fund before we can move it into what we need it to. So I think it's a great idea to keep it in the general fund and know what it's earmarked for. And then if we have an emergency, we can move it there a lot easier. But yeah, I get it. $8 million seems like a lot. But if I remember right, either 6.9 or 7.2 million was earmarked for something else. It just was still under the general fund. So we're working for you guys. I just want you guys to know that we are working for you guys, and we're not just hoarding the money just to hoard the money. We're not Scrooge McDuck, basically. You know? That's it.
Thank you. Any other comments from the commission? Okay. I guess it's my turn then. So Bobby did an outstanding job putting this budget together. As I said before, I don't love every dollar. There are definitely some things in here I would choose not to spend money on, and some things that aren't in here that I would choose to spend money on. But without people coming to tell me what they think, this isn't the angel show. I'm not going to sit here and try to just advocate for the things that I want or to remove the things that I don't. I'm here to listen to you guys. I'm here to represent you, not to make decisions solely on my own. So nobody's really come to me with anything compelling. Obviously, we need work on the water. We're going to talk about that a whole lot in just a minute. And there is a lot of money put towards our water in this. It's not going to fix it overnight. It's not going to fix every problem that we have, but we're working on it. As for the millions and millions of dollars in surplus, what bothered me before is that none of those dollars were earmarked even softly for anything. It was just money sitting around with no name on it. Now, that money is at least categorized. Bobby has put forth plans. This is what we will probably do with this money. If things go the way we think, this is where this money should go. So when we approve this budget, we know what the city is thinking about. It's not just sitting there like, we'll figure it out later. Yes, we might have to change some of those things. Nothing is hard. We didn't chisel anything in stone in a meeting. But we have a really good idea what the plan is. And overall, guys, I really like the plan. Again, a couple things I would change, but I'm not gonna make giant waves when there's not a whole bunch of people behind me to do so. So, one thing, and I just realized this moments before I came, or I probably would have just emailed you about it. One thing that I brought up before was a line item for legal and professional fees. I would love to see those separated out and not be one line item. Because it's not only TJ, it's any other attorney we use, and it's our software, and then potentially professional fees like our audit fee, I think came out of that. I would love to see that separated. I would really, really love it. It will probably reduce the number of emails you get from me saying, hey, what's this? Hey, what's this? And it will make it easier for me to do my math. So,
We're following GASB rules, so I can look into
okay.
what that would be, but I can,
Okay.
off the top of my head, because
Okay.
I'm following what I have a book like this big about where
Sure.
line items are. I just don't know what the answer to splitting it would be, but I'll look.
Okay, thank you, I appreciate it. And I really appreciate you taking into account that just having millions of dollars sitting around with no name on it was displeasing to some folks. And I really appreciate the way you set it up and knowing that, yeah, things change. We have tornadoes and all kinds of things happen. So this is what we want to do, this is what we hope we do, but we may have to come and make some other decisions. So thank you, you did an outstanding job, Bobby. You knocked it out of the park.
Thank you.
Thank you. So I have no reason to vote against this budget either. It's better than I expected. So, any other comments before we vote? Even you, John? No. Okay. Sometimes I catch your eye and I think you might want to say something. So, all right. I guess it's time for a vote on our 2027 budget, 26-27. All in favor of approving the budget as it's written, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, our budget carries unanimously. All right, so thank you. Thank you, everybody. That was a lot of hard work. All right, so next up, hang on 1 second, did I miss something here? Sorry, guys, I always put this into a Google Doc and I might have missed something in here. Oh, no, it's just further down. Okay, so next up is an ordinance amendment, and it's listed under public hearing, but is it time for the public hearing yet? It is? Okay, I didn't think, I thought we were getting like a reading first or whatever, so. Now, John, can I just let you go ahead and give an introduction on this, so I don't mess it up?
Absolutely.
Thank
It's, so this was first brought to you April 21st for the first, what we call the first reading,
Okay,
and to schedule this public hearing.
Thank
And then we don't go always right to the next meeting because we have to have time for the public notices and stuff. So you've already seen this. I don't know if you were all here on the first one, but this is just to streamline our SEU, Special Exception Use Permit procedures, so that they don't all, if they're at the same location and for the same type of use, we can make the process more efficient. It doesn't change the application fees. It doesn't change the right for the public to come in and comment on it. It doesn't change the fact that they will still be coming to you, because we kind of need to do that anyway. The reason why it doesn't have to go back to Planning Commission and it should come to you is because you're the only board that has the authority to change some of the provisions if you see fit. So if you have, like a domestic assault shelter at one place and then it changes ownership, you want to revisit those provisions that you've established for that particular special permit. You have the right to do so. But overall, it's to save the city time and resources.
okay. And am I right that this is the one you explained as, if it was a car lot before and Bob wants to sell it to Jim and still keep it a car lot, we just save Jim a step?
Yep. It's mostly about time, but it's also about the resources.
Okay. Wonderful. So, public hearing, do we have any comments on this? All right, I didn't expect any. This is pretty straightforward. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved. Support.
All right, any discussion from the commission?
John, does this save the buyer money in any
we didn't really consider changing the fees. It gets a little complicated, so it's still the same fee, but they're usually happier about having a shorter timeline to open their business.
That's what I want to know, like, do they have to pay a fee for it to go before the planning commission and then before us, or is it just
No,
a flat fee?
currently, until, assuming you guys approve this, the process is for it to go to 2 public hearings at both commissions.
Right.
This just moves it to the final authority, which is you guys.
Any other questions? All right. Let's go ahead and vote. All in favor of approving this ordinance change, say aye. Any opposed? Oh, I'm sorry, we need a roll call, sure.
Or any ordinance.
Okay, got it. Leslie, go ahead.
Commissioner Allen?
Yes.
Commissioner Stanfill?
Yes.
Commissioner Dane?
Yes.
Commissioner Brown?
Yes.
Commissioner Derry?
Yes.
Commissioner Hay?
Yes.
Mayor Johnston?
Yes. Sorry, I forgot that. All right. Okay, so next up, we have general comments. Now, this is 5 minutes for anyone to talk about things that are not on the agenda tonight. Come on up. Any concerns you have. Please, again, state your name and address for the record.
Blaine Edgell, 309 North Main Street. This is really simple. When we go to watch a city commission meeting online, we cannot hear it. You can turn it all the way up, and you still barely can hear. And it's a simple request, just to make sure that we can hear our city commission meetings. You know, that's what it's all about. That's why we tape it, and so that's it.
Thank you. So I think it's time that we start looking into our AV equipment and see, maybe just let Maxwell poke around, see what he might be able to plug in. I don't know, I showed pictures of that equipment to my boss in the AV field, and he said, hey, that's actually pretty good. Like, you should be able to do something like that. So how does the commission feel about making it easier to have some volume, if it's easy enough for Watershed? How do you guys
It's
feel
just
about
a
this?
simple plug and play. I mean, it would be something that we would have to have a motion and everything and talk about. But that would be the first step, you know.
All right, who'd like to make that motion?
I'll motion for it. I think it's a good idea.
Great, do we have a second?
Second.
All right,
Discussion.
yeah, any discussion?
Yeah, so exactly what is this motion and what equipment?
Yeah, I'll say it very clearly. How about that, and then you guys can, or you want to, Tony, it's your motion, go ahead.
Basically, we're just talking about the idea of looking into purchasing some equipment that will, or not even purchasing it, just maybe figuring out how to use it in a different way to make it easier for folks who are watching online, actually hear what we're discussing, because I have watched some of the videos online, and I do agree that it's very, very tough to hear, and I mean, you have to kind of like do the seashell to the ear thing just to kind of hear little whispers, so. You know, any steps we can take to make that better, I think that'd be a good idea.
So you said, use equipment that we have or purchase, what do we have that we could use?
I haven't looked into it myself totally, so.
Okay, so
yes.
right now, all of our viewing and sound comes from Watershed, is that correct?
Correct.
So is there something that Watershed could do to amp up their volume and then the problem is fixed?
So what they can do, though, is plug directly into our system with one cord.
So we've had this discussion before this meeting, is that right?
Maxwell and I talked a little bit. Yes, Maxwell, please speak up.
And we asked Joe, and he told us no. To
Okay.
connect to because we can just connect to that.
And
we were hoping we could connect to that, and it would sound better, but he told us that then you guys would have to let anybody who wants to connect. And that was the justification for why we can't connect. And this is all we have, and it doesn't sound great, admittedly.
So if we make a motion just for us and only this commission, can we do it that way? So we don't have to have, he can do it, so we gotta let the other person do it. If we just set the standard.
We can step on freedom of speech in that respect, or freedom of the press. But I think if we start getting 25 people that all want to stream our meetings, maybe we revisit it. But I don't think there's any reason not to for now. And people aren't beating down our door trying to do this. There is somebody else who has a radio station who's going to try to work some magic. But, what's it?
I wanted to know what our attorney was gonna say.
I was gonna say, if
not unheard of to allow the media to plug into a sound system, as long as there's availability and you can accommodate other requests for the same is all that I would suggest that you have. So it might be prudent to have a policy, so maybe have a create a policy, hey, what it is, and if you want to limit it to the media for the purpose of broadcasting, I think that's different than having just the general public want to come in and plug their phone into it. And so you could create a policy to allow the media free access to it, look at what it would take. I don't know, I've never looked at it, so I
It's
don't know.
probably, it's
There's
similar.
multiple
As far
ports.
as I know, we have a guy on our board who installs live stream equipment for municipalities. He looked at this and he said we would just need one cord
Right cord.
that I could plug into my phone. And we could go.
So I mean, I think that, I would suggest getting a policy so you have something in place, so if another media outlet comes in and says, hey, can we do the same thing? You can say, here's our policy, and I would suggest maybe finding a way to make more than one port for it, but
Tony, what do you-
legally, you can do it.
Or does he have to make a policy?
Okay,
That we create a policy.
all right, well, then can I motion that we create a policy to make that possible? Either that or something as simple as, allowing one of the commissioners to set their phone up and plug in. I mean, would that be something that would be different, or would that still fall in the same category?
What I would suggest is start off with a policy allowing for media access to the audiovisual equipment to enhance their broadcasting or recording of the meetings.
Okay.
And that way, even if, a media outlet comes here and they don't want to necessarily video record it, they just want to audio record it, they could do that.
Yeah.
And then down the road, the commission obviously could create a policy about the city itself. The concern with a commissioner recording it, now you have official
Sure, no, I
action on
understand.
your device.
Yeah, no, I understand.
And so, there's no problem with making
It's
our
just-
AV equipment available to the press so they can better.
Yeah, this is definitely not the first time I've heard that come up, so I just wanted to see if it was something that we could do for the people who want to listen at home.
Yes, Blaine, do you have a further comment? You didn't use your 5
My
minutes.
concern is Jim Roseboom used to work for the city, and he used to tape the meetings. And it was the exact same problem. And so I don't believe.
I don't want to get us involved in
This is not by mistake. This is intentional, and we can't hear what's going on in the city commission meeting. It's been that way for years and years and years. And with the technology today, you ought to easily be able to hear the city commission meeting.
I agree. All right, so we
Make a
have.
motion to set the policy.
Yeah,
That's okay.
so Tony, let me state your motion and tell me if I'm wrong, how about that? The motion would be to create a policy to allow the media to plug into our AV equipment,
Sure,
is that,
sure.
is there a
That's
second?
simple enough. Yeah, that's simple enough.
Is there a second?
Yeah, second.
Still, okay, all right.
Could I add one thing?
Certainly, this is the perfect time.
We're happy to do this and try and make it as good as possible, but we don't want to be the long-term solution. You guys need to be streaming the meetings yourselves.
I agree.
So we can do this and we'll try and make it as good as we can, but that's not the goal, and that's not the goal we believe of a city, to be not live streaming.
No, we appreciate that you guys do it now very much.
Because as long as if I'm not at this meeting, there's no stream, so I don't want it to be relying on me.
No.
No, we understand.
I don't know, make whatever motion you want, I'm not telling you, but I'm just saying, we don't want to be the long-term solution for the city's accessibility.
Yeah, we got you.
You know, the problem with the city doing that is that you have to keep so many of these meetings stored,
That's okay,
which is
that's
gonna
easy.
cost a lot of money.
Not really in a
It
Google
will.
Drive.
It will,
I mean, I have videos from, 5 years ago, just right on my phone.
that have public access to everyone, that's the thing.
They have to be FOIA-able, right? Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, you could FOIA you can't FOIA anything on my phone, but I could produce it if necessary.
I'm just saying, it's another
So-
expense, that's part of the reason it hasn't been done.
And just one more thing,
Yeah.
in terms of expenses and all that, this is you guys' budget meeting, so if there are any expenses that need to be added, this would be a great time to put forward those amendments.
This is something I was telling
It's a
you
good time to
before.
start, yeah.
You bring an idea up.
Well, yeah,
and
and then
people's minds, suddenly, it's the most important thing in the room.
Yeah.
And you're making decisions that you don't need.
Let's create a policy. Let's create a policy just to start there.
Yeah. let's start
Absolutely. Absolutely.
So just start with a policy.
Yep. Let's listen to the people. All
Back
right.
in the day, when I was a teenager, didn't WLKM broadcast this
Yes.
over AM?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, my thing is, there's government and then there's the press. Shouldn't they be two different entities, just kind of like the church and the government? Should be two different entities? And yeah, you look at it as our responsibility, but is it truly our responsibility?
Ours is
When there's
the
the
government.
freedom of the press. The press is essentially supposed to report on government, not government reporting on itself. Because if you want us to report on ourselves, you're getting into some real trouble.
Wow, I think that's our responsibility.
That's pretty good.
I don't think it's our responsibility to report on ourselves. That would be like asking Joe to do his own evaluation. Would you like that?
That's completely different. I didn't ask that we evaluate ourselves, but like I produce a monthly mayor's minute where I go through some highlights.
I think that's a good point.
All right, call the question, let's get to the vote.
Yes.
Yeah, I'm down with that.
We're just gonna.
We do have to vote to call the question though, so are we ready to call the question?
We're just gonna vote
No,
on
he's
you
calling
doing
the question.
policy.
No, I think her question, the motion on the floor just is motion to create a policy to allow media to plug in AV equipment.
Yep,
Yeah,
has been
that's
first,
it.
has been
Okay.
seconded. All right. So technically, we have to do a vote to call the question. All in favor of calling the question, say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Question has been called. Now it's time to vote. All in favor of Tony's motion, Commissioner Stanfield's motion to create a policy to allow the media access to our audio equipment, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
That's a start.
That's a darn good start. I feel really happy about that. And Maxwell, thank you for what you're doing. You're right, it's not your responsibility, and I am incredibly grateful to you for taking this on. And I do hope that this is the start of us doing even better and sort of not taking it away from you by any stretch, but relieving you of your
We're happy to do it as long as we have to,
Thank you.
which hopefully isn't long.
Thank you. I appreciate it. All right, we're still in public comment. Anybody with any other comments? Yeah, come on up. Welcome to the podium. Please state your name and address for.
Starting Zavala, 16916 Bridget Drive, Three Rivers, Michigan. And at the risk of driving a few people crazy, I just want to bring up the West Chase apartment complex again, keep the saga going. But anyway, I first of all, I want to thank Pat Dane, for giving me the lead with the area agency on aging. And she called me with the name and phone number, so I gave it to the person, one of the people over there, and that's where they have 6 apartments damaged with windows boarded up and no carpet in those apartments. And it's been 70, I can't remember if it's 72 or 74 days now, so it's not like it happened yesterday. We all know that it's a tornado. And they're really sad, and I've seen some of their health failing. One now uses a walker because of the cement and whatever, but that's beside the point. Anyway, Tony Laughlin did come out and hold a meeting with anybody in the apartment complex to give them their idea of their rights. And she is her title is Elder Abuse Victim Specialist. And very, very good person, very calm, but very direct. And she just wants to make sure they understand. She did real well with them, and they, she was going to get to the bottom of things. She said she worked on an apartment complex over in Centerville a couple years ago and got that going where they had water in it. Didn't like that she said, not this long, but 4 or 5 weeks, and that was long enough. And so she's done other apartments and things too. So anyway, now they did have a meeting Monday, and another meeting, but this was by the complex. Kind of ironic. They have a regional director, which no one knew about, and somebody else knew, but she came out and apologized for not coming sooner, well maybe, and then, but she planned a private meeting, only the people whose apartments were damaged. And they're all united there, so that was kind of sad. But anyway, from what I understand, and I don't want to carve this in stone, but I should be in 4 to 6 weeks. But if you would talk to me a month ago, or a month and a half ago, they had the windows gonna be going in on April 6th, and that didn't happen. So, I don't wanna get too excited, but I wanna extend their gratitude to Pat Dane, because the fact that they found this Tony, and that she is representing them, and she's being very honest, and she shows up, even when they don't want her to or not, because they had to, try to room in the door lock, but somebody let them in. She had her card she shows where she was representing and affiliated with the county, the state and such. So anyway, it worked out well. She got them to get answers, and she's gonna stay on, she wants them to put things in writing for these elderly people. She is very firm about, we're all gonna be there someday, and so let's just, the mold protection. And they all have loved ones, whether it be a friend or relative, that wanna know what's going on, so put it in writing. So anyway, I'll just, not bore you anymore on that, but just wanted to let some people know, they are so grateful for anybody on the board that's helped with giving out names and numbers, and some haven't panned out, but this one really worked well. And they just said their main thing is, they wanted to know that people knew they were there and living in this, and that they're getting tired. But anyway, and one last thing, I'm gonna tell you on the sound system, Tori, sometimes, I don't know if your mic works well or not. I for one, have a real hard time, and when we look around, I think that maybe yours isn't on, or
You have to practically eat it.
That's all, but
maybe put it up a little.
very large guy, so, and I know that my stature can be intimidating, so I taught myself to talk quietly.
Oh, well, you wouldn't watch Friends talk up. I'm sitting here going.
I'll work on that, I'll try to speak louder.
Okay, because I didn't know what, I'm glad you restated that motion, because I didn't know what you had said, and we're only gonna help. Thank you so much for letting me share this on West Chase story. It's close to my heart.
Thank you, sir. Thank you for sharing. Right. Any other comments about items not on the agenda? Oh, come on up. If I ever start to close public comments on you and you're on your way up, stick your hand up or something and I'll stop. Welcome up.
My name is Kelly Hobbs. I'm at 641 South Constantine Street. And I just want to say welcome to the new people on the city commission.
Thank you.
And I'm a pretty emotional joker, so sometimes I get really passionate up here when I'm speaking. And I will tell you, for the first time in a long time, I've not felt any sense of community in Three Rivers until the tornado. It was kind of strange because it was like, literally watching it go over my neighborhood. My house was spared, thank God, so many weren't. So it was really nice to see the city come together and all the things behind the scenes. And my hope is that continues to happen, because I think a lot of our citizens feel very disenfranchised and we don't feel heard. And when you don't feel heard, you're not going to show up to meetings. And we all know there's a million keyboard warriors sitting on the Three Rivers information site complaining to no end, but yet they won't give up 2 hours to come.
Thank you for recognizing that.
And that concerns me as a citizen. It concerns me that we don't have any young people showing up. Because I will tell you what, I've been in this town since 2002, and I've watched it decline, and that makes my heart sad. I moved out of it for about a year and a half during COVID, and honestly, I wouldn't have moved back. I wouldn't have moved back if it wasn't for my children's father being in the best interest of them. So my hopes that I see people out in the community painting hydrants, I see all the things, and those are all good things, and I'm so excited. But people just have not felt heard for so long that it's going to take a while to build that momentum back up to get people involved in the community. Even if it's in small ways. Like I said, it made me smile seeing people sitting in the grass painting hydrants. And it just makes me sad that it literally took something so catastrophic to get people to want to come together, because, you know what, we can't do anything about the political divide in our country, but we can solidify it locally. So I'm really hoping that we can find some way to get some youngsters in here. I have my child, which I'm sure she's not excited. She's currently homeschooled, and I wouldn't be homeschooling her if I wasn't a teacher by trade. And I when when the election happened, I put her in a government class. Because I was like, oh, this is the perfect time for her to take government. So she's here today seeing how a local meeting runs, and she has to write me a report on it. And one of the questions that I posed to her is, why should you go to a local meeting? So I'm hoping that with some new faces and people are receptive to listening to the citizens, and I'm not talking about a complete bitching rant, because I'm sure what you guys do is thankless. I'm sure you're not making a ton of money, kind of like being a teacher, which I know Tori can vouch for that. Endless hours of work and all of the things, so super excited to see some new faces. I love that you love to question the crap out of everything. That makes me so excited all the time, because, you know, sometimes, and let's be honest, everybody gets complacent in their job when you've been doing it a while. And nobody wants to open up and have 1,000 emails of the same complaint that you've answered 1,000 times, 1,000 different ways. So I really, truly believe as a citizen, the core is we've got to keep building community, because I don't believe that there's a sense of community and pride anymore in Three Rivers like there used to. I don't want it to be a tornado to get people to pay attention. And that's going to start with our leadership. And it's going to start with people getting out from behind their computers. And that's going to take people out in the community walking up and down the streets. I want to be more involved, but in a way that I'm not dismissed. Because I haven't been here in a long time. Because I got referred to in a meeting as a young lady. I'm almost 50. I'm not young. Because I rubbed somebody the wrong way. I've not been back. But that's not the example that I want to set for my children, because likely my home that I have in Three Rivers is going to be their home. And this is where they're going to raise their kids, because let's be honest, it's not looking great for millennials to go out and buy a house at a 10% interest rate. So thank you. I'm glad that you're doing what you're doing. But please be receptive to the people that are speaking. And you have reached out to me several times. I was the girl that was supposed to answer you back, and then I never did. Because life happens.
In case you need help with that report.
Okay.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate you coming up to speak tonight. If you need any help with your report, feel free to reach out, okay? You won't be the first homeschool kid I've helped with a report. Thank you. Anybody else with public comment? You can come up for something different. Come on up.
Okay. Once again, my name is Mandy Brown, dealing with the homelessness situation here in Three Rivers. But I had a couple things I wanted to bring up other than that situation, of course. Some other things I've noticed here in town. I'm going to be honest, I love it here versus places I've lived before. I've been in Muncie, Indiana. I've been in Richmond, Indiana. I've been in a lot of places in Indiana and Ohio. And this, other than Sturgis, is in Kalamazoo, is one of the few places I've been in Michigan so far. And I wouldn't trade it for anything in the world. But that's beside the point. There are some things that do need improvement other than the water. Sidewalks. I mean, while being homeless, we push carts around. People push shopping carts, or even people with wagons and stuff. It's hard on these curbs, even though they're trying to be accessible. They're still a little too high off the curb. I think honestly some of the areas might be sinking, or with age, but I think some of our sidewalks need to be brought up more to ADA code so that our disabled population can actually get around. Not just, people with shopping carts, but, if you can actually get around with something with wheels, that benefits everybody. At that point, you don't have to be so reliant on a car. And that's one thing I love about Three Rivers. The downtown is so beautiful. It's so walkable. Why would you drive through it? But I mean, and also, I'll be honest with you, about the audio situation. I second that concern. I'm actually the one that started an internet radio station called WCHX. And I'm in the process of, at the very least, recording the meetings. And then I'm going to use software to try to amplify the sound up and at least bring it on the airwaves on Live 365 the next day.
Are you the person who's been on Facebook lately?
Yes!
I did not know that was you. Oh,
I've been kind of scared to come out about it, but especially with my current struggle, some people be like, why did you throw money into an internet stream? It's a hobby. Really, a little bit each month, tiny bit is going to be earth-shattering, life-changing money in my situation, not really. It's not gonna get me home. But anyway, I think sidewalks and just disability in general, in terms of accessibility, needs to be worked on in this town, definitely. I kind of digressed, but anyway.
Thank you, ma'am.
Right.
Thank you. Mandy, our sidewalks, Mandy?
Yes.
Our sidewalks.
I was just sitting back there.
Our sidewalks are also, we are doing some of our sidewalks. Yeah, we do some of our sidewalks when we do some of our roads also.
Yeah.
That's budgeted in. We do work on the sidewalks also. And if there's a specific sidewalk, let Joe know, and Joe will let Amy know, and she'll send the people out and look at it.
I noticed a bunch from when the tornado went
They
through
can't
that.
get around to every single spot in the town, as much as Amy is a beast. She's only one person, you know? So if you see anything, let Joe know, and Joe can get it to Amy, because she does amazing work, and she'll follow up within the next week if she has the time. But usually she makes the time. So yeah, that's it, and that's for anybody. If you see something wrong with the sidewalk, let us know, because we don't have the time to walk every single inch of the town. And like Kelly said, it takes a village. You know, if you guys bring it to us, and don't bring it to us like, you need to fix this, you know, because we know there's stuff to fix. But let us know, and we'll do it. We gotta work together. We have no problems working with the community. I love working with the community.
That's one thing I have noticed about this administration so far. Communication, at least with the public, has seemed to be very transparent. That's one reason I'm actually here. I feel like my concerns would actually be listened to by this administration.
That's what we're trying to do, Mandy. I'm glad to have you here. Thank you. All right, anybody else with public comment? You can come back, absolutely. Come on up.
Okay, again, LaShawn Jones, I live at 613 East Broadway Street. I don't know if it really falls under the ordinances or not, but my thing is, like, with the grass. If your grass gets too long, you'll get fined or whatever. What is happening with all these houses that are abandoned and their grass is outrageous? Because like my brother has a van parked at my house right now, and it's inoperable, but, you know, they pay attention to stuff like that, so pay attention to all these houses that are empty with the grass, you know, looking like a forest. Like, that's whatever.
Thank you for that comment. I have two of those houses within view of my house.
Some of those houses do have owners. It's just a matter of us finding the owner, and we have to find them. There's steps that the city has to do before we can actually go and cut it ourselves, right, Joe?
So we give them
It's not a dramatic amount of work for us to do that, though.
We do it all the time, every year.
That's actually one of the easier ones that I see. And grass is one thing too, and I'm not disagreeing with you at all, but we've got some other big fish to fry in terms of code enforcement, so. All right. Anybody else for public comment? I don't think Taylor's, are you coming up?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Taylor Davis, run the wastewater plant here. I just, from my comment from the back, I want everyone to know that I wasn't trying to be argumentative about the storage and everything. The city has already looked into storage and stuff, so it will cost money. You are right, budget time would be the time to look at it, because it is a line item or a budget area that doesn't have a lot of money. So I don't want you to think I was being argumentative, I was just trying to voice that we have looked into it already. So if that's something that the board wants to push, I'm not against it. I just don't want anybody to think that the city hasn't looked into it or, you know, is against it. I was just voicing what we have already done, because the conversation was short and quick responses. So I just wanted to put that out there, like, wasn't being argumentative. The city's already looked at it, so if we look at the numbers and you guys want to have us do that, obviously the city will do it. I just didn't want you to think I was being argumentative, so.
Better not be, okay?
I know. I like to be unheard and at the wastewater plant.
Honestly, Taylor, I think you're extremely professional with what you do and how you behave yourself and how you conduct yourself. I didn't take it as argumentative as all. I was taking it as
Short
dissemination of information.
closing to public comment. Thank you, everybody, for speaking up tonight. This is always my favorite part of the meeting. All right, back to business. Bobby's up for the next item, which is a 2027 fiscal year fee schedule update. So I hope everybody had a chance to look through the changes to our fee schedule.
I just want to be clear because it looks like my report for some reason isn't showing. What we're doing is first reading and setting a public hearing for our next meeting. You guys aren't like voting on this tonight, so it's a first read. So sorry about that. I don't know what happened. I wrote it.
Technology, who knows? Thank you for clarifying. So we just need to set a date for the public hearing then? Is that really, or is this a good time to ask some questions? Because I do have a couple.
Yeah, I mean, you can ask questions.
Okay. Why is there suddenly a solar farm fee when I had a constituent reach out and point out that like we started something about solar farms in 2018, but like this is a new fee. What brought that up?
I wouldn't say it's a new fee, and I was gonna say,
It says new fee.
Well, it's a transparency thing.
Yeah, and there are a few of them that say new.
Okay.
I definitely put some quotes around those.
Okay.
Those are not new uses. I think we had those in the fee schedule at one point, and somehow they fell off of it.
Okay.
Generally, special permits are either 200 or 500, depending on their complexity.
Okay.
So we kind of we knew what those ones were for like a recycling facility or a solar farm or something like a PUD. Those are the bigger ones. I don't know when these dropped out of the ordinance, but Bobby and I did a very in-depth look at those particular fees that have to do with zoning, and we're like, yep, let's make sure that each and every one of them was listed. And the timing was because we also updated this special exception use permit application, which now instead of you writing it down, it has checkboxes that clearly shows what you're applying for, and it now matches the fee schedule. So they're not new, they just weren't in the previous one.
Okay.
That's all.
Because that kind of scared me a lot.
No.
Wait, is there a conversation going on that we don't know about?
Nope.
No, it's just clerical.
Yep.
Okay, thank you. All right, I have another one I'd like to discuss. And Commissioner Dane, you might be with me on this one. I don't know if you noticed it yet, but why would we consider reducing the fine for parking across the sidewalk from 50 to 25?
I think what we were doing, and you can correct me if I'm wrong, but what we're trying to do is make it match kind of levels of severity.
Okay.
So like parking in front of a hydrant is a life risk, parking over a sidewalk is not. So we were kind of just trying to keep it uniform over the level of severity of the parking offense.
Okay.
That doesn't mean that you guys can't say something otherwise, and that's fine, but that was the.
I see that point, but I also, just particularly on my street, I see a lot of kids having to walk in the street because of people who park consistently. Thank goodness one set of those people just moved, but right before they moved, another group moved in. Every single day they are parked across the sidewalk. They have some inoperable vehicles, and then that pushes their usable vehicles straight through. And I understand it, Chief. I realize I'm kind of out of sync with you right here, but I understand our cops are super busy, and I'm not looking to give them more to do. But I mentioned at a meeting before, and you kind of had a giggle about it, that I got a ticket for parking across the sidewalk when I was a teenager, and I never did it again. And if it takes longer than 2 minutes to write a ticket, we need a better system. And I hope that when our officers do have 2 minutes and they see that, especially for the people that just consistently do it, that maybe they write that one ticket that means that never happens again. Because it's been like 30 years, and I still don't park across sidewalks. So, it's just something to think about. I don't know how you feel about that.
I agree. I mean, I'm sorry. When kids have to walk in the road and cars don't do 25 where they're supposed to even do 20.
Right.
It's not safe. I really think it's important. But, you know, maybe, especially with the ones that you can drive by 3 or 4 different times and it's still there, really? I mean, it's not like it just happened one time.
Right. It's not like somebody's unloading some furniture or something, like obviously give somebody a break. But those folks that, like right now, I can tell you 2 addresses on my street that have cars parked across the sidewalk. So making it cheaper to do so, if they were to even get caught, is just not something I'm happy with. Also, let's see. I was curious about the. Oh, I'm sorry, Bobby. I'm so sorry.
I don't have to be convinced, but if you guys want me to change it from the recommendation, can I at least get a consensus?
Sure.
we bring it back and vote on it, it'll reflect what you guys want. So, like, I'm cool with whichever way, but I would like clarity, please.
Question first, how much is it for parking in front of a hydrant?
50.
Okay, and parking
And
in
that
front
was
of
oh, go ahead.
Parking in front
That's
of
the
a-
request for the change. Right now it's 25, that one we were increasing.
So we're increasing, so parking in front of a hydrant was less than
It
parking
was
in front of-
less.
So you switched them?
So we switched them, because,
Okay,
yeah,
so-
yeah.
I see the theory.
Yeah, but
What
that
I
doesn't
would
mean,
think,
I don't see what you're saying.
just my personal opinion, I think bump them both up to 50, because a child's life is just as important as a burning house, in my opinion.
100%. And John, could you scroll down just a smidgen? There was something I didn't know. A traffic device. What is a traffic device? You can't park within 30 feet of one, and I don't know what it is.
Like a stop sign.
Oh, okay. Okay, I wouldn't have called that a device. Okay. I'm like, is that like a special thing that blinks or what? Okay. 30 feet of okay, okay, that makes sense. Okay. Yes,
I'm all for encouraging people by penalty to not break the law, but personally, I haven't seen children walking in the street because of cars parked on the sidewalk. I see children walking in the street because there's no sidewalks.
Well, that stinks too.
I mean, honestly, I don't see any cars blocking kids where when they get out of school, they are, so could you tell me where this is happening?
My street, Maple. 5 and 600 block of Maple.
So it's after school when they get off the bus?
Excuse me. The more I see in the morning, because I actually just don't pay attention necessarily in the afternoon, I'm usually really busy. There was also, and I haven't seen her in a long time, but there was an elderly lady who used to walk around my neighborhood with a walker. And
Oh,
I
that
would,
had to be hard.
yeah, and I would
So
often
just a
notice her
moment
come up and
though.
just go,
So can I ask the chief, did we have a big problem with that as far as tickets in the last year or so?
We've given out some for the parking across sidewalks, but that's usually not the main offense.
I mean, I realize it's not a high crime,
Oh, okay.
but
I just didn't know it was a big problem, I just thought I'd say that I haven't seen it, and so if
also,
somebody.
700 block of Oak Street has one where, and those people have 6 spaces in their driveway and they still consistently park
Well,
across the
that's
sidewalk.
just, that don't make sense.
And on that same block across the street is somebody who's got a driveway about this long, and they will angle their car
To get
to,
off the
to make
sidewalk.
sure they don't block it. And if the juxtaposition of those two homes is just annoying.
Yeah, I think the $50 would definitely bring some awareness to people
As
and
a
prevent them from
comment
doing
to-
it.
So we don't have one note for them walking in the street though? Is that illegal or?
Yes, jaywalking.
Because I mean, I see them walking in the middle of Madison, which is a lot busier than a lot of the streets in town, and
So it's
there's
me.
nothing there.
Right. I mean, if there
No
aren't
cars,
sidewalks.
Sidewalks on both sides, nobody around, no dogs, nothing, they just walk in the street for the heck of it.
My mom would have killed me.
So, we're back down to 50?
Let's
or
come back to
what?
the 50.
All right.
I think it should be 50.
It's fine, I just.
Does anybody
say I
disagree
don't
with
see
50?
any problem.
Okay, I don't hear any disagreements. Excellent. Oh, and look at that, it's editable. Fantastic. All right, thank you guys for explaining what a traffic device was. I forgot to make that note, and I wanted to ask. And then, when we get past that, John, would you be able to go to, I think it's page 11? Yes, I could just use a little clarity on this. I don't quite understand exactly what this is, and somebody was asking me about it today, and I was busy at work, and I didn't have a chance to reach out and ask about it, so here we are tonight. What are these? Tell me more about this, because we learned about the other fees that are due to like what size your water meter is, but
So these are the fees that you learned about in the water.
they're the
study.
same? They're just
Yes.
named something
So
different?
the one that's based on REUs, that's
Yeah.
that ready to serve fee.
Ready to serve, okay, so
Yeah,
it's
and
the
the
same
other
as
one
ready
is
to
the
serve.
fee that's based on how much you use.
Okay, okay, thank you so much.
Yeah.
All right, and then page 16 for safe-built residential biennial inspections. Sorry, it's 7 o'clock and I'm losing my ability to speak. What are these about?
Those are for apartments, any rentals in the city, we have to inspect them.
So they're rentals, okay,
Yes.
sounds good. Okay, thank you.
Yeah, not just apartments, any rentals, home.
Oh, right, yeah.
Yes.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay. The whole like number of parcels kind of threw me off, so, okay, thank you, I appreciate it. Anybody else questions? Okay. Anything from the public? Did anybody read our fee schedule? Okay. Well, if you haven't, you'll have a chance to look it over and come on back. What's the proposed date for a public hearing?
June 2nd.
June 2nd? Okay. All right. Do we have, all right, we're only motioning for the public hearing, right?
Correct.
Okay. Do we have a motion to hold a public hearing for a fee schedule on June 2nd?
So moved.
Okay? Plenty of support, okay. I think we discussed it enough. Anything else? All right. All in favor of setting the public hearing on June 2nd, please say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thanks, everybody. Thanks for backing me up on that $50. I hope that anybody who gets that ticket never does it again like me. Well, I'm with you on that too, but people are poor. And honestly, it's not to me necessarily the money. I just want somebody to never do it again.
That's what they did March 1st, I think.
Right, exactly, exactly. Okay, so guys, this is another part of the evening that I've been, guys, thanks. Thank you, everybody. All right, so this is part of the evening that we've got a lot to learn here and a lot to discuss. So we have our Drinking Water State Revolving Fund Project Plan Submittal. Whew, glad I practiced that one. All right, Amy, do you want to give us a synopsis?
Yeah, so this one has a few items that need to officially be covered at the meeting. So you guys have this project plan's fact sheet in the agenda, but I also need to reiterate it. So
Thank you.
I apologize for 2 pages worth of information.
That's okay, thank you for it. I read every word.
Thank you. So, in January, we submitted an intent to apply for Drinking Water State Revolving Fund. I'm going to use DWSRF for the rest of this to submit an application. And that, in this case, an application is a project plan. And so we've completed the project plan. The draft is in front of you. We have had it on record. We're offering it tonight so that any public comments we receive, those get addressed in the project plan. The project plan gets finalized and then submitted on or before June 1st to the state. And then it's in their hands for a few months to review and score. We'll get to the rest of that part in a little bit. So in this case, and we've submitted this before, now with water mains and lead service lines. This time we are doing lead service lines only. I struggle with that a little as an engineer because that means we are looking at connecting new water lines, digging down and connecting new water lines to water mains that could be as old as 1930s, 1940s. It's not the greatest thing to do, but it meets the goal of getting rid of lead service lines. So that's the goal we're going for. That's what we're addressing with this. There are alternatives that are always required to be considered. They're just DWSRF considerations. One is no action. It always has to be looked at. In this case, it just doesn't make sense for us. Optimum performance of an existing system. Changing the performance of the system doesn't get rid of lead service lines. So again, not a good option. Regionalization, connecting to another system. Again, doesn't solve the problem. So then we are down to alternative D, lead service line replacement. Some projects have other alternatives that get discussed. This one's just really cut and dry because of the scope. In this proposal, it's up to 616 services. Why that magical number? We have 934 that are unknown at this point in time as of April 30th. We reduced the number that are planned to be replaced with all of the Michigan Avenue and Main Street water main and sanitary sewer replacements that are taking place. This number has the possibility of going down as we do more identification and move those unknowns into knowns, not lead. But when we maximize the number in the application,
then we could move the project all the way through with this number. Easier to reduce. You look like you had a question, I'm sorry. Okay. The total estimated project cost, I'm gonna round to $13.5 million.
Fair enough.
Very big number. It includes, as it says, design, construction, administrative, legal fees, lots of steps to this type of a project. User costs will be determined once we finance. So there are some numbers in this fact sheet that kind of give us an idea, but those final numbers always come out much later in the process, but they come out before the commission makes their final decision. So you're not making a decision to do this project until you really know what those user costs look like. So just so you guys are aware of that part of the process. And this would be funded with a revenue bond, so a loan.
And that does not go to the voters, right? That's a bond that we can take care of on our own?
It's a bond that the commission can take care of. Yep. We have to do public notice process to that, but yeah, but it comes before the commission. The second part of the project, the estimated project costs, as I mentioned, there's a total dollar amount. So they always have the legal things. That's what general conditions, bonds, insurance, and mobilization are. They're the big project overall items. And then lead service line replacements. And as I mentioned, the age of the water main that we are looking at replacing these service lines on. We're also factoring a certain number of emergency water main repairs because old water mains can break. So that's included in that cost. So as you guys can see in the user costs, we base this on increasing the usage rate. So not the one that's based on residential equivalent units or RUs, but the usage rate. So people can control their costs to an extent if they reduce the amount of water that they use. But that would be, if we don't receive any loan money, it would be a $2.03 increase per 100 cubic feet. And I did some quick math on, when I find the sheet real quick. So we had this water sewer bill example last meeting, and so I used that to do a comparison. So the family of one every 2 months would see $8.34 increase on their bill.
At which stage?
At 0% principal forgiveness. And a $13.5 million project.
So at the worst?
At the worst, yeah. Okay. But when you get to a family of 4, every 2 months you're looking at another $33.35. And please understand those exact numbers change a little as we, but I'm just trying to give you an example of what those increases look like, worst case scenario.
Thank you so much for that.
So now that we understand our costs, what we're trying to do for this project, if the project plan is approved, which again I said they're due by June 1st, then we normally see financial terms in the fall of 2026. We also will see our scoring, all that kind of stuff at that point in time. If we were to elect to move forward, we would begin design in the fall of 2026, and construction could commence as early as 27. We're looking really at the later part of 2027. If everything goes.
Is this a project that can only be done in the summer like other construction?
It needs to be done when the weather is warm.
Okay.
So yes.
So not winter?
Not winter. So as far as like traffic impact and stuff like, it's minimal impacts overall because water service line replacements happen relatively quickly. It's a small area that's impacted for a day or two. So traffic impact is not major. Obviously, there's environmental impacts because you have construction equipment, noise, all that kind of stuff. Probably the biggest impact anyone would notice, again, if we break a water service line or a water main during this, there's a portion of the system that would have to be isolated. Biggest risk.
I noticed something about trees potentially too.
There is the potential of losing trees in the right of way. Sometimes in residence yards, it just depends if we decided to plant a tree over a water line at some point in time. We or the resident. Yep. So really what we're looking for tonight is, obviously we'll open public discussion for this. If the commission is comfortable with this, we would need the resolution passed to submit this for consideration.
And again, it doesn't obligate us to anything.
Absolutely does not. And I'll be honest with you, right now, we are not considered overburdened.
Right. Can you tell us a little more about that?
Yep. I just need my other notes.
Sure, thank you. And take your time, this is quite a lot. I appreciate you giving us so much information.
So, and I stapled them. So to be considered overburdened, there's a few different factors. So 80% of our, the median, why can I not think of it? The median annual household income needs to be 80% or less of the Michigan median household income. We hit that category. So our income is less than that. What we don't hit is there are two categories regarding the taxable value per capita. And the 20% taxable value per capita has to be less than or equal to $27,200. We are currently at $27,294. So we do internally understand that taxable value most likely has changed after the tornado. And so because we are so close, I wouldn't be opposed to asking them to reevaluate if we end up getting in the scoring and the ranking. Because they score us and then they apply the money that's available and they just go down the list until they run out of money. And so that's the first thing we have to figure out. But that's why we're not in the overburdened. And then significantly overburdened, that value would have to be down to $19,472. We're not going to make that. But those are the areas that make us more eligible for, or better opportunity for the grant side of this. And so that's kind of another factor in this, that we don't know if any grants would be offered. And obviously if grants are offered, then that takes our overall loan commitment down.
Okay, thank you.
Yep.
Are there any other types of assistance that we're applying for?
We have actually been working with Eagle on looking for a lot of opportunities. This is the main opportunity that has been brought up at this point.
Okay, does taking this opportunity mean that we can't take any others?
Nope.
Okay. All right, sounds good, thank you. Do anybody else have any questions? I have just a couple more, actually just something I wanted to just mention. And kind of talk with you about, Amy. Would it be accurate to say that even with this $13.5 million project, seeing as we're not rebuilding the whole system, we could still experience issues like rusty water, discoloration, pressure problems, water taste concerns?
Yes, so this project does nothing for rusty water. Rusty water is two factors in our system. One, we're back to these 1930s, 1940s water mains. They are made of cast iron, inside and out. Cast iron will rust. So that's part of it. The other part is we're naturally bringing iron out of the ground. And when you add chlorine and or air to water that has iron in it, it then particulates. You could see it in the system or in your drinking water or anything like that. So this project does not address that concern at all.
I want to harken back to something, and I think you just touched on it. A certain person who used to sit in this seat, who used to be my landlord, Tom Lowry, described what you just told me in the way that these things are in our water anyway, and it's the chlorine that makes them visible.
Mm-hmm.
So it's there. Without the chlorine, we just wouldn't see it. Is that accurate?
Correct. And I've heard people say that they taste metal, even though they don't see anything, and that is iron. Iron has that flavor. Iron's actually good for you. It's just, it's unfortunately, it's aesthetically displeasing. And when we have lead service lines to focus on, aesthetics does not take a priority over lead service lines.
Oh, of course, of course.
So are you asking citywide or as a resident?
Both. Thank you.
So we have two different directions we can go. If we're talking purely aesthetics, filtering your water, either us filtering or the resident filtering will help that. Big picture, if you want to get rid of a large majority of it out of our system, last numbers a couple years ago, it's about a $15 million investment. And that doesn't include all of the increased system operation costs. So, smaller scale, a resident, like I said, you can filter your water. Either that can either be whole house, or it can be in a pitcher or on the tap.
Oh, of course. I hope nobody's drinking the water straight. Like, filtered water.
Drink it straight.
So,
Not afraid of it.
Right.
Been here for 45 years.
He's only 39 years old.
That's right. You know what I look at.
Amy, what else do you have?
it's just, I want everybody to understand that aesthetically displeasing versus unsafe are two distinctly different things. And so a lot of what we're seeing on social media is aesthetically displeasing. You will notice a lot of times that when the water runs, has that discolor, if you let it set or settle, you'll notice the particulate at the bottom. So everything that you're seeing is settling out. That's where I say if you filter it, it removes it.
Okay.
Our drinking water is safe. We routinely test it. Eagle evaluates all of our testing requirements and all of that.
Okay. Don't we have like 27 parts per million in lead in certain places?
So there are lead service line locations that need to look at filtering for lead removal.
Okay.
There are around 260 known lead service lines as of April 30th. So they have another step to be concerned with.
Okay.
The rest, a community member that knows that they don't have a lead service line and knows that they don't have lead in their service or in their lines in their home, then lead's not coming into their house from the water mains or from the wells or anywhere else. So it's not like that 27 parts per million or whatever that number is. And actually our number right now is 12. So we brought it down with all the chemical treatments. That doesn't mean everybody has that. It means lead service lines or possibly lead lines or lead soldering in their home.
Okay.
So it's a much smaller group. And that's where we continue to say, if we don't know what your service line material is or we know it's lead, we will test you. We will test you every 6 months to know what that number is, to help you to know what's going on. I know that's not the immediate replace your line, but at least every 6 months you know what's going on. And like I said, you need to use a lead reducing filter in those locations.
Thank you, Amy. Thank you for all that information. Yeah, of course, we've recently seen all these things online, and it brings up these concerns. And I think the more knowledge we have, the better off we all are. And I think sometimes problems can seem worse than they are. And yeah, no, I don't want brown water either. I mean, my bathwater pictures are on Facebook. You can see that it's my house too. I don't like it. But there's a difference between water that's going to make you sick and water that just, turns your whites brown and your hair a little bit redder than you like to keep it. But there's a big difference. So I'm glad to hear that we're down to 12. I was under the impression we were still at 27 parts per million in terms of lead.
Every 6 months that number updates because we sample 40 locations every 6 months.
Okay.
And we would love to have more people participate.
Okay, fantastic. Who could somebody call if they wanted to participate? Just City Hall? Public Services?
Public Services.
All right, just touch the number in the phone tree?
Yep.
All right, thank you. I appreciate it. I'm sorry, I've asked a bunch of questions tonight. Does anybody else have any questions up here at least?
When will we be done testing your fire hydrant?
When will we be done flushing?
Yes.
Wednesday or Thursday next week. So we are currently in 4th District. We expect to be done tomorrow in 4th, and then we still have 1st District to do. So we're a few days longer than we expected because we were doing that directional flush. We have some key valves that are closed in the system for the directional flush, and so it is doing different things in our system. It's actually a good thing that it's doing that, but very, very frustrating for our residents. We also want to encourage our residents. Yes, I know it's easy to put on social media. Just reach out, call us, leave a message, let us know your address, let us know that you're having discolored water because we're trying to track that information in relationship to our hydrant flushing. It tells us a lot about our system.
I'll tell you guys, I mentioned to Amy at our last meeting, like, hey, this is my bathwater, and showed her a picture, and she said, oh, actually that tells me a lot, she knows where I live. And she gave me an explanation on why that is, and just watching your wheels turn and seeing how you took in that information and like went all engineer about it, I was happy to see that. So I will encourage people to report their addresses so Amy can bring it and know what's going on. And you touched on something too about how, not to say it's better, but this process is actually doing a better job within our system, and that we're just sort of paying a crappy price for it today, but ultimately, might this make next year's not as bad?
That is always the goal.
That's
Again,
the goal,
we're
okay.
working very closely with Eagle and some people that they do this with a lot of systems, and they help to try to essentially scour the pipes.
Yes.
To try to get more of this buildup out.
Yes.
And so we did some of the valve turning directional flushing, but not all of it through this time. So it may get worse before it gets better.
Okay.
But again, we want to know. We
Sure.
want to know what's going on so that we can make our system better. We don't like aesthetically displeasing water any more than anyone else does.
Of course.
But when we just looked at what $13.5 million in investment looks like on a monthly bill or every 2-month bill, let me be clear about that. I have to question, is an investment in a filter a quicker solution for each individual resident?
Absolutely.
And that's for them to decide.
Yeah. I recently met with someone who does like whole house water filters and did some work in Kalamazoo. And I'd love to sit down and chat with you about what I learned from him. Just obviously not right now, but that would be fun. So, all right. Well, this is the public hearing for this too, is it not? Or no, this is not, right?
It's not a formal public hearing anymore. They don't require that, but we do have a public meeting. We want any public input. We want to give everybody that opportunity.
And I only beat that drum for like a week on social media, so I hope somebody's here to say something about our water. Anybody? Any questions or anything we didn't get to? Anything you'd like some clarity on? Come on up. Yeah.
Silly question.
No, there's no silly
Can I
questions
ask
here.
it from here?
If you want.
The closer you live to the tower, is it the stronger the chlorine? Because when I lived over behind the high school, I never ever smelled chlorine, and now my house, I can run my faucet in front of my house, and it smells like I'm in a swimming pool.
Same.
So we've increased the amount of chlorine in the system, so that odor is more evident in more of the areas. And we actually add chlorine at the well field, which is not where the water tower is. It's at 2 different locations in town.
I was just curious, because I just found it interesting in proximity, and I have 3 Brita filters, so.
And Amy, are we using, so there's chlorine and then there's chloramide? Walk me through this, because I don't completely understand it.
Now I'm gonna lose the other term. There's chlorine for disinfectant, and then there's orthopolyphosphate.
Okay.
That is a really fancy word for something that is intended to capture the iron when it comes out of the ground, but before the chlorine gets added.
Okay.
And the plan is that it keeps it away from touching the chlorine so that the little particles don't happen.
Okay.
But we still have to scrub the particles out that are already in the system. So that's what those 2 chemicals are doing in our system.
Okay. And then does the chlorine that we're using off-gas in the same way that other chlorines off-gas? I ferment, which is why I know about chlorine. So if you cannot ferment with chlorinated water. And even back before I had my Berkey, I would just go to Walmart or Meijer and fill up the jugs at the reverse osmosis. And when my ferments failed, I knew that their filters hadn't been changed. And someone taught me that the difference that there's the regular chlorine off-gases really easily, and that you could even just like set a jar out and it will off-gas on its own, and essentially all that chlorine will leave. And then there's another type of chlorine where that doesn't happen.
So our percentage than standard liquid bleach,
Okay.
but it is a liquid, and the chlorine percentage will reduce the longer it is exposed to the atmosphere.
Okay. Okay. So I actually just like set my jars out before I pour them in my Berkey overnight to sort of reduce it. So thank you for that. I appreciate the education. All right. Anybody? Going once, going twice? All right. Closing public comment on our water. Anything from the commissioners? Any questions? Yes, Commissioner.
I got a whole house filter that is directly right after where the meter is. Now, my house is over 120 years old. It doesn't have the plastic going to the main water line or anything like that. And that whole house filter, well, I have to change it every 6 months. I never have the rust problem. Now, the filter itself looks about the same color as this wood.
Yeah.
But, I mean, if anybody can, I know some people can invest in that, but it's not really all that costly. You spend like, what, maybe $30, $40 for the actual unit, and then maybe $18 every 6 months.
Wow. I've never heard of one that inexpensive.
Or you just buy the little filter. The little filters don't cost that much.
But even just a $30 investment for the main unit?
It's been a long time since I bought it, but it might cost more now, but you know.
So if it's
I
100.
worked at Home Depot.
Yeah, I didn't.
That's where I got it from.
All right.
And that's positioned right after, you know, that's going through your entire house.
Okay.
But also, being the age of my house, I've also went through my house and replaced almost every line with the new PVC pipes. Because if you've got even that old metal stuff, will eventually give you that rust.
That's a lot cheaper than the expert I talked to, so. Obviously you have a different system, but like it's.
If you were
that's
talking to one of
doable.
them water guys now, they'll beef up that price so they can get all that, and then get the business.
Yeah. Well, thank you for mentioning that, though. That's I think within a lot more people's capability than, you know, what I was talking about. Even, let's say it's tripled since, you know, since you did it.
We don't
You know,
want
$100.
You don't want to get the real expensive filter like the carbon filter or the one that kind of looks like the toilet paper, because you'll lose all your water pressure. They're only good for maybe about a month. Sure, they're going to filter out everything, but you're not going to have any water pressure.
Okay. Well, I guess I need a trip to Home Depot sometime soon, and I'll report back to the community. All right. Commissioner Dave, did you want to say something? No? Oh, okay. All right, anything else on this subject? All right, we don't have a motion to approve yet. Do we have a motion to approve applying for the project, the project plan submittal? Support. All right. Any further questions? All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, we carry unanimously. Thank you, Amy. I learned so much tonight. Thank you, thank you. It's too bad that this isn't one that has good volume, because I would love to sit down with the transcript and write that out for everybody, but I think I got the gist, and don't be surprised if an email comes through. I need some clarity to make some posts. So, all right, thank you. All right, moving along. Tornado stump removal. Wow, we've got a lot of these. Amy, this is still you, right? Can you walk us through the process here? Is this, let me ask you this, is this all of the remaining stumps from the tornado?
So anything that's in public right-of-way,
Yeah.
a park, the cemetery.
Okay. Oh, we did include the cemetery. Okay, fantastic. All right, so we're looking at $149,644.50. Bids are attached here. I'm sure we've all had a chance to go over them. I gotta say that, I mean, I know it's 150 grand, but that didn't seem so bad. It really, it seems very reasonable for the number. Do you know, like, I'm sure you do, like, what is the number of them? They're just everywhere in the tornado-stricken areas.
So based on bid documents, there were around 347. I will tell you that as we detailed them, we reduced, because there's some that are like a couple inch diameter stump, you know, different way to approach it. So these are around 290.
Okay.
That's what this price tag is representing.
Okay. And what's the timeline if we approve this for making this happen?
So the ones in the the street right away need to be done by June 17th, June 12th, either right day, June 12th.
Okay.
That was just site hazards before we are very busy with our festival in town.
Sure.
That was why that date was chosen. And then the rest of them, the contractor's goal is by July 1st. Obviously, workloads change between the time we bid and the time we award, but that's the goal.
That's pretty quick. Thank you. Anybody from the public have any comments or questions about this issue? No? Okay. Anybody on the commission?
And if you do the math, it's roughly about $500 per stump. That's it. It's pretty good.
Yeah, it really is. I mean, there are so many massive ones. And the timeline is great. I'm really happy that I really thought you were going to say hopefully by fall. So.
The bid documents require them to be done later this year at a maximum, but they could give us a timeline and notice.
Okay, cool.
Yes.
And this is for Roberts Brothers, right?
It is.
Okay. All right, do we have a motion to approve?
So moved.
Support.
All right, all in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, motion carries. Thank you for taking care of that, Amy. Look forward to those getting taken care of. All right, and yeah, that answered all my questions too. All right, consent agenda. As usual, I have just a couple of things. Does anybody have anything for consent agenda before I get started? All right, so looking at the HDC, Historic District Commission minutes, I see that at 40 North Main, there's, they wanted an update on the improper work, but there's still no update from Safe Built. And again, as we do, I believe every month, we're about to pay them $42,599. So I think for 42 grand a month, they could update our HDC consistently. That would be great. I get complaints all the time about Safe Built, and we pay them a lot of money, and I think we should be holding them to a much higher standard than we are. Looking at the DDA minutes, good stuff here, Angie, don't worry. Wanted to say thank you to Jane Barnes and the Three Rivers Garden Club for their interest in supporting amphitheater landscaping and a pollinator garden. That sounds lovely. I believe they offered a $1,000 donation, it says?
The Club of Little Gardens.
Oh, the Club of Little Gardens,
Yes.
okay, thank you so much. Appreciate that, to the Club of Little Gardens. And then, in these minutes, you guys talked about watering the flowers and trash maintenance. And I'm really glad that that's coming up in conversation, because, you know, the DDA meetings are during the time when most people are at work, so people are basically complaining to me about things and not to you. I'm glad to see that the DDA understands that just having volunteers take care of this is not sustainable, and that there's a strong consensus that the work should be paid and not volunteer-based. And I see that you discussed some options, and I am looking forward to seeing what comes of those. Seeing as these are, you know, minutes from before, I won't ask you to get technical about it, but have any of these plans come to fruition yet?
We have an ad out for part-time maintenance.
Okay, so
Yeah.
so you're looking to hire part-time maintenance?
Yeah, for trash and flowers and other things, yes.
All right, sounds good. Okay, fantastic. Thank you so much. I appreciate that update. All right, and then, Joe, did you get back to me on the email I sent you earlier today? I didn't see it before I left. About the 2 questions I had from revenues and
About the
expenditures.
money? Yeah, it's in your email.
Okay, yep, here it is. Opening it up right now. Hang on, guys. Yeah, sorry, it was literally 3 minutes after I quit looking. So I asked about $45,000 to Blue Water Solutions, and this is water meter and meter head replacements that we approved, and then $44,000 for LD DOSA, okay? And that's building stabilization approved by the commission last year. What building is that?
The ATAD.
The what?
Sorry, I was gonna get in a lot of detail. It's a building that processes.
Oh, the poop processing building. Okay, thanks, that'll do it. That's about as detailed as I would like you to get. Thank you, Taylor. All right, thank you, guys. All right, okay. Anybody else with anything? No? All right. I'd love to hear a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Support.
All right, all in favor say aye. Any opposed? All right, the consent agenda passes. All right, we're almost done, you guys. Tonight we have a planning commission interest form from a lovely young gentleman named Jonah I have not had a chance to meet with Jonah yet. He and I are gonna meet up on Friday, but I've heard fantastic things about him. He's very young, which makes me super happy, and I am very comfortable based on the recommendations of the people I know who know him with appointing him. So I do recommend that the board offer me a motion to approve Jonah West for a term to the Planning Commission to expire on March 1st, 2028.
So moved. Support.
All right, any questions or comments?
He's already been coming to the planning.
Yes, he has. He's been coming to a lot of meetings.
Yeah.
A lot of meetings, and that's just really encouraging that I think he's probably in maybe his very early 20s. I would think. I don't know, but he looks very, and granted I'm old, so everybody looks really young to me, but he's young. I'll leave it at that, and I'm just really thrilled about that. So, all right, so we have a motion on the floor. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, welcome to the Planning Commission, Jonah. I will personally let him know when I see him at 4:10 on Friday. So, alrighty, we are moving towards almost the end here for commissioners' comments and city managers' communications. Who would like to begin? Commissioner Stanfield.
I had somebody reach out the other day, and they were pretty bummed out, to say the least, about the building permits that they're having to pay for after the storm damage. And she said that she doesn't feel it's fair that she has to pay for the building permits, for a natural disaster, and kind of inclined to agree with that, and nobody wants a natural disaster, nobody wants to have to fix their house up after one, it's an expense that nobody expects, and it's a major bummer. So I just wanted to kind of approach everybody with that this evening and maybe try to do a quick brainstorm and see, is there any way that these people can be given some sort of slack or leeway, or I don't know, like a one-time free pass from having to pay for
That's
building
something I can
permits?
look into for you.
What's that?
That's something I can look into for you.
Awesome, thank you, Joe.
Doesn't insurance pay for it?
If you have insurance.
Right.
I had storm damage last year in the Knott tornado of March 30th, and I've spent well over $1,000 on inspections, and they refused to even bring a ladder to inspect my roof. They were there so quickly to inspect my deck that my dog and I did not notice.
Because when the house got hit, we didn't pay for any of the payments. So, anyway, I'm sure the insurance did, but
Right.
we never had to write a check.
I had to pay for my deck on my own, that wasn't covered,
Okay.
so I paid for pretty much nothing.
I just was wondering if that was something that was billed to insurance.
And Joe, I'll give you that information as quickly as possible. And then other than that, I'm gonna do my due diligence and thank the chiefs for all that you guys do. Bobby, Amy, everybody, I see you back there. Where's he at? There he is. Hey, I see you, chief. How you doing? Thank you guys for what you do. I know that you guys stay busy, and I know that you never get the respect that you deserve, so I've told you time and time again, and I'm gonna keep telling you every time I'm here, thank you for what you do.
Yes, Commissioner Day.
I just want to thank the fire department again. I work as part-time at the Commission on Aging. So I meet a lot of seniors, and we happen to have had a senior that's 101 years old, and she needed new fire alarms in her home. The ones that she had up were dated to expire in 2006. But she couldn't put them up, so my husband, who is my fill-in to the fire department, contacted his friends, and I want to give them so much credit. They went over and put in her new fire alarms for her, and even added an extra one because she now sleeps in her living room instead of her bedroom. So she was so excited, and just little things like that can mean the world to an older person. And to know that that service is available to our seniors and within the city of Three Rivers, we're very fortunate. And they would do it for anybody that's a senior. And I think that's important. So I just want to recommend, you deserve a lot of credit. Thank you very much.
This was a very informative meeting. Thank you to our city staff for, filling everybody in, and thank everybody for coming out and asking questions, and especially your comments about a couple of you made comments about feeling okay and comfortable to come in here, and that just means a whole lot. So it's a good meeting.
Mm-hmm. I agree. All right. Commissioner Hay, anything from you? Commissioner Brown? All right. Commissioner Allen? No, you guys are all quiet, okay? Mr. Davis, do you have anything for us?
I'm good.
All right. Mr. Reed?
June 2nd, I will not be here at that meeting.
Okay, that's
There
right.
will be a fill-in on that.
Okay.
And a question was raised about the parking lot at Bigby.
Yes.
There is a provision.
You're stealing my thunder.
Oh,
But go ahead.
never mind, I'm done.
Go ahead, go ahead.
I'm giving that to you. Other than that, I wish you all a great meeting on the 2nd. If anybody needs anything, you know my email and my phone. Thank you.
Right, I was really just kidding, no, please, go ahead, because that parking lot is a mess. There's huge threads on Facebook about just how awful it is.
There is a provision, the city code and ordinance, at the
Okay.
last meeting I was asked to look, there is a
Yes.
provision in there in which the owner under the, since we have adopted the International Property Maintenance Code as it pertains to commercial buildings and non-residential structures, there's a specific section in there regarding to parking lot spaces and other, for that. I do know that there has been ongoing communication with city staff and the owners of that particular location. I don't know where that stands. However, there is recourse as far as taking enforcement action. Once again, though, I think that problem, it was shared to me, the problem is greater than just the potholes, and it might be foundational, which would be, to do it right, would be a much bigger job than just throwing cold patch or filling the potholes. So that I don't know, that was just explained to me by somebody smarter than I when it comes to those matters, so. There is options. The problem would be if the city undertakes it and you get into that whole compliance order issue of the willingness to spend the money on the city's behalf to fix them. So that's kind of the ultimate threat, would be a compliance order in which the city then causes the work to be done. On a project that size, it would require generally bids to be put out, and then the city, because we are spending the money, and then that would go back on the taxes of the property. But when you're talking a project that could be several $100,000, that's a little bit outside the realm of where compliance orders generally fall into play. But there is recourse that the city does have for that, if the city so wishes to proceed with that through the ordinance enforcement of the International Property Maintenance Code.
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah, have we like issued a citation?
That I don't know. I don't issue citations, so I don't know.
I don't know if they've issued citations.
Okay, let's start there. Can we agree to start there?
I'll talk to the owner myself.
Does anybody disagree with starting with the citation? Well, now we know who the owner is, and there's some contact information floating around. So the general public can reach out to this guy if they want to.
I'm not sure if it's a person. I think it's a corporation.
Okay, well.
I think a lot of the complaints came early in the morning before people had their coffee.
That could be so. All right, so we.
So anyways, I just wanted to follow up with the commission. They
Thank
asked
you.
a question at the last meeting, and I did look into that. So.
Thank you. All right, so we'll at least get a citation written then.
Before we go past this, I know this is right in Amy's wheelhouse. Is there any way where we can get a potential, just a guesstimate of what we would be looking at as a city to do that? Because I know that's a lot, and I know that would be putting a lot of work on you. Because the engineering of it and just figuring out all that stuff, it's a lot. You know, and that would also have to, like, her house could potentially be built to
If we get close
them
to that,
also, right?
If we get close to that point, we'll run that.
Okay.
Yeah.
If it gets that far.
Hopefully we can write a citation and this guy will just do what he's supposed to do. And that'll be it. And then nobody will have coffee for a couple of days and everybody will freak out and then we'll all be fine.
Starbucks is right down the street.
Well, and Starbucks is right down the street, exactly. Sorry, Big B, you're just gonna have to suck it up for a day or two. They need to do some lines there too, because that's the hardest part is, you know, you're dodging potholes and then you're also dodging other people who are dodging potholes. And then there's the people that just aren't paying attention. And I've had some of the tenants come to me and say, listen, we'd love to say something, but we're afraid we'll have our rent raised. So they're like, could you guys please take care of this for us? Because we're losing business. So I'm glad that we're doing that. Because we need to at least write a citation. I mean, we've been talking about this since I got here, you know, so. All right. Anybody else before I close this out? No? All right. I asked, actually my whole first thing was the Goodwill parking lot. There were 124 comments and 127 likes on the post about we need to do something. So one of the questions I recently asked on social media, and I always tell people, and I'm going to say it again, social media does not change cities, it doesn't change towns, but coming to City Hall does. But I got some really great information, and that's what I was seeking. I had 2 questions. What types of grants do you think the city should focus on trying to win? And what types of grants are you not interested in spending resources like grant writers' time, matching dollars, et cetera, to win? There were 2 really great comments that got a lot of attention. One of them was from somebody named Bethany, who said that she would like to see accessibility improvements and ADA violations brought up to code so that disabled and elderly people can utilize all that our city has to offer. I asked for a little clarity, and she talked about buildings, and it sounds like basically private businesses. I wonder if, and I know that there are a lot of businesses that aren't ADA compliant. I wonder if there is anything available that we could look into for grants for businesses to become ADA compliant. Or even something where Jean could sort of point business owners in the right direction. You know, rather than the city actually doing it, but I think a couple hours of Jean's research time might be worth it to help some business owners. I think so. I took a really great class with an amazing professor, Dr. Anya White, who consistently reminded us that even if you're able-bodied right now, you might not always be. And that was very evident to me right after the tornado when a generally able-bodied resident had surgery on like her knee or her ankle or something and couldn't get down her stairs during the tornado.
Oh.
And it just, I thought of Dr. White again, you know, you're able-bodied until you're not. So this is something that any of us could face. The next comment was fantastic. This was from a woman named Becky. And so many people commented like, yes, that's it, you nailed it. So here's what Becky had to say. She said, number 1, I'd like to see the water issue taken care of. We've been buying 5-gallon jugs to drink for probably over 2 years. I don't even give my dog tap water. Obviously, we've done a lot of discussion on that tonight, but so many people want us to really focus on our grant expenditures and what we're paying Jean and like what we're doing, like looking into water. Yes, we've got this one thing happening, but let's keep going. She also mentioned that our sewer system needs something done, that there's times when you can't even go outside to play with your kids or grandkids because of the stink. I don't experience that at my house, but I have heard about that from people closer to Public Works. And that's something that I don't think we've necessarily discussed here, at least since I've been on the board, so I don't really know where we are with that. And just because I don't experience it doesn't mean other people don't, but it's just not something that was on my radar until now. Next, she'd like to see the streets that Three Rivers is responsible for, repaired or replaced. Sidewalks too, obviously we're doing what we can. But these are things, again, not just, I mean, people know that we're doing these things, but they want us to focus our grants on them. And then she closed out by saying, I don't feel anything else should be done until all 3 of these projects are taken care of. No beautification, no bathrooms on trails, that's asking for problems, and no special lighting. She said, then the blight. How can we do beautification on top of all the blight? So I thought that was a really great comment, and I wanted to go ahead and bring that to this board and to our staff, and just to say that this is what people are saying when asked. Yes, ma'am.
But I actually have a question. The people that you're, that are responding, are they all citizens of Three Rivers, the city?
I know that Becky is.
I mean,
I know that Becky is.
because anybody can get on and say these
I think
things.
Bethany is too. I'm pretty sure
just
she was too
questioning.
as well.
I mean, I think that's good for us to know, because if they're out of the town, out of the city.
Okay. So, well, Becky is because, I mean, she's talking about having to buy water, and Bethany is disabled. And I think that to say that if Bethany doesn't live here, she doesn't count.
I'm not saying that, I'm just saying it for us to do things, and, and to say that, like what she did, you don't think this and this should happen then. Well,
she lives here. She's drinking, she's buying bottled water. She lives
that's
here.
just what I'm saying. I just wonder how many of these people are really citizens of the city.
Well, they're people that take enough time to comment on, our community, and they're people who are spending their money here or not spending their money here due to these things. So while I understand that to be fiscally responsible, we have to listen to our residents first.
Right.
But other people bring in tax dollars to our community. It's not just the people who live here. So I'll take a little less criticism from somebody who doesn't live here, but when somebody who may or may not live here has a really good idea about making things more ADA accessible so that they can participate in our community, I'm all ears. I don't care where somebody lives, if they want to, I spent my first
And I'm
30
not
years
saying that.
vacationing here, and I would have had just as much to say then as somebody who came, 15 weekends a year as somebody who lived here. And I moved here because I love it so much. So those 15 weekends a year turned into somebody who turned out to be your mayor. So the more we can do for everybody, the better off we are. So, you can go ahead, yeah.
The one about the water,
Mhm.
do we know if she's ever had her water tested?
I don't.
Because if she's, like Amy said, the vast majority of these people have perfectly safe water.
Right, but I don't
So-
want to drink brown water. I'm
I
still
get
going to
that.
filter my
I
water.
understand that. My question is, if she doesn't even know what's going on with her water, that's the first step.
Okay, so I live in a place where my water is probably the best water. It's, Amy, we've talked about this a little bit. Where I live, my street was done. I've had new plumbing in my house. My water is probably some of the best water in the city. Would you say that's true?
Your piping is new relative to a majority of the city.
Okay, so it's in the top tier, would you say? Pretty good.
Of piping age, yes.
Okay, I still filter my water. I bought water until I could afford a filter.
Absolutely. That's
So-
not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is, I'm not saying that she doesn't need to buy water or anything like that. I filter my water. What I'm saying is, a lot of people in the town, just like you were saying, we need more people to come to the meetings. A lot of people in the town get on Facebook and they say, I want this done, this done, this done, this done, and this done. But what have you done to figure out what's going on with your water in the first place? Why it's not drinkable? That's what my question is. Have you figured out what's going on with your water? Because that's what this whole thing is about. If you're, me personally, if I'm going to complain about something, I'm going to want to know what exactly is going on with it.
Well, lots of water is brown. I have some of the better water in town, and my water is brown.
You're
and I
telling
have
us
to filter
about
it.
your water.
Right, and I'm saying, I'm gonna stand up for Becky right now.
And
I'm gonna stand up for Becky and say that I agree with her. And I don't drink my water as it is.
So you're agreeing with her on something that you don't fully understand?
But I do fully understand my own water, and I'm saying I feel the same
Right,
way.
you understand your water, you don't understand her water, that's my point. You don't understand her water.
So when I say that I need people to come to meetings and back me up, this is the kind of thing I'm talking about. Because these are perfectly legitimate concerns, many of which we've discussed tonight. And I have a commissioner arguing with me, saying that a resident doesn't know what's in her water.
That's the biggest issue in the entire city. Our residents don't know what's in their water. And in order
Whose
for
fault
us.
is that?
on-
Because I've been here about 180 days,
In
and I've
order
done
for
more.
us to fix their water, we have to know what's in their water. And we've been asking the public to let us know when we can come in and test your water.
So,
We've been begging citizens to let us test their water.
Commissioner Brown,
Yes,
I asked if you had any comments and you didn't.
and this is
So
my
I-
comment.
Right, but you said you didn't, and I said I'd close it out, so I'm being very generous right now in this argument.
No, because you also
And I
asked us
still have
if we
the
wanted,
floor.
if we had discussions about your statement. So you opened that up,
Okay, you know what?
just like you opened it up to
Let's-
Pat.
Let's go ahead and say I opened it up. What you're doing is tearing down a resident who made perfectly legitimate comments, and I think that is despicable.
I am absolutely not tearing down a resident. I'm trying to
That's
give
how I
the
feel
resident,
about it.
that's your
If
personal
I were
opinion.
Becky, that's how I
And
feel.
I'm trying to give the resident a way to figure out what's going on with her house.
She doesn't like her water.
Understood.
Lots of people don't like their
And the
water.
first step is to get it tested.
And what if it comes back that there is no lead in that water? Is that what you're telling her to test it for?
Yeah, so then she can figure out what kind of filter she needs.
She's, what is that even the point?
I don't mean to step on toes, but can I intervene just to kind of?
Yes, please.
Yeah, this is
This is
This
not
is
how
why
we
we're
get
here,
people
is
to
for,
City Hall.
for the opinions to be shared and things like that, but, let's kind of get it back to,
This is why people are afraid to come to City Hall.
Don't put that on me.
No.
I I won't let you.
This is why people are afraid. You know
I
what?
won't let you.
I will just ask for people to say if these are the things that tell them that they should not speak up. And I'm gonna leave it at that.
That's
And I'm
fine.
gonna say that these are the things that some people posted. And again, Facebook is not the end-all be-all of what we're doing here. But these are the types of things that people say they care about in our community.
Mhm.
And I think it's ridiculous that anybody is arguing with
And
what
see,
people
now
care.
you're bringing your personal opinions in.
Yes, I am. This is my personal opinion. This is my time for our personal opinions. I think it's ridiculous to argue with people about our water quality. We just learned a lot about our water, but this is what people want. This is what the people who elected us and pay the taxes that make this country and this city go around had to say. And yes, this is a small sample. This is just the people following my Facebook page. But I'm going to stand behind those people. You don't have to.
And
I
let me
will.
make this perfectly clear.
And you know what?
I don't have a problem with Becky, and I support Becky, and anything
Then
that
act
she
like it.
needs, I am. And I'm trying to give her a route to get her stuff fixed. I'm not gonna let you bully me. That's not what's gonna happen.
You
up
know,
here.
Call to order,
That's
let's
cute.
adjourn.
Things
Adjourn.
let's
I
adjourn.
second.
I agree. Hey, everybody in favor of adjourning this pathetic end to a delightfully otherwise meeting, say aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Any opposed? Meeting's done. I just can't believe it.
You're 100% correct.